Let's have a look at these pictures. Building blocks, right? We all played in our childhood. Building blocks are magic toys. They can be built in all kinds of things, like flowers, cars, tiny houses like this, and even a space station. We're so fascinating that we spent hours on them. And finally, a masterpiece was made. You got a deep sense of pride and think how awesome I was. But the next second, you accidentally dropped the masterpiece and it broke into pieces. How would you feel? Deep grief and self-loathing, right? In life, you probably get pals who just fail in one test and think they're not the answer of the subject. Or they don't get quick reply to their message and think the others must dislike them, or they just mixed up a big time. Someone gives them a slightly negative comment and they think they're totally failure. When they're when they're facing a risky situation, they're the first to think the worst case scenario and spend all their time worry about it. Maybe you're just one of these folks. You're terrified in speaking in public, don't like making new friends, get tied around strangers, or turn into sweaty, blushing mess when you interact with others. You're convinced that everyone can tell you're uncomfortable and that's all your fault. If any of this sounds familiar, you might be caught into cognitive distractions. What's that? It's those exaggerated or irrational thought patterns that makes you see reality in a way that is a bit skewed. You know, like thinking one scoop of ice cream ruins your whole diet, or just one fall. So you will never learn how to write. Back in 90s, psychologist Aaron Beck talks about negative schemas. Beck says the meaning that people give to their experience will importantly influence their life. They will become depressed, or whether they will experience a severe, repeated, long-duration episodes of depressions. Also, this theory is reflected in Adlerian psychology. Alfred Adler, the foundation father of the School of Individual Psychology and one of the three giants of psychology, proposed a set of theory at the beginning of 20th century that completely broke with what was believed at the time to be derived from Freud's psychoanalytic distortions. We do not think the past cause, but rather than present goals. In the past, as soon as we stumble upon any problem, we will always be the first to think out what caused it, and attempt to rely on the cause to explain things. Sometimes we did find answers, but we often fell into determinism that our present and even our future were all determined by the past and could not be changed. In other words, how we see and understand things play a big role in how bad they get. This theory has evolved into psychologists now called cognitive restructuring and cognitive behavioral therapy. It's a kind of talk therapy that's mixed the basic of behavioral and cognitive psychology. Help with mental health problems like depression, anxiety, and those cognitive disruptions we checked about. I have an interesting example of cognitive restructuring of my own, and that is happening right now. Yes, TEDx. To tell you the truth, at the beginning of preparing this event, I was in a super nervous and anxiety state, and especially when I was rehearsing, I found that, oh my God, my body was stiff as freeze-drying, and I cannot control my speed. I was afraid that I can't recite all of the script I was afraid of getting stopped. I was afraid that I don't have vivid body language, and I was afraid that I cannot carry this speech well. But after that, I changed. I changed my perspectives of TEDx from an important speech into an idea sharing event. This cognitive restructuring made all my previous worry disappear. Because TEDx are talks about spreading and sharing ideas with others, an activity where output and thinking occurs simultaneously. The focus is not on recycling, nor it is embarrassing because of a little pause, like our human thinking requires pauses. When you experience an idea to others normally, you unconsciously have your own body movements, and that is very natural. So I did it. Well, how do you apply cognitive restructuring in your daily life? First thing first, self-awareness is a key. Recognize those feelings like fear, anger, worry, anxiety, and try to thought the causes, what caused them. You can choose to take out a piece of paper and a pen and write down all your thoughts on the paper. At this point, you don't have to matter the logic or anything like that. Well, all you need to do is to write down everything in your head, and after this step, you're gradually calm down from an emotional unstable state. Once you've got all these feelings and thoughts on the paper, it's time for cognitive restructuring. It's not think about the thoughts of negative emotion from a more positive perspective and try to embrace the thoughts. And that just makes you unique. And here's another tip. Talk to all sorts of people. It's like a personal experience. Ask questions and notice the unexpected answers and compare them to your thoughts and analyze the difference. It's a great way to open up your mind. Now, let's delve a bit deeper into cognitive restructuring. It's not about sugarcoating everything or pretending that challenges don't exist. It's about changing your perspective, finding the silver lining, and reframing your thought in a way that empowers you. Consider the Japanese art of kintsugi, the art of repairing broken poetry with letter mixed with powdered gold, silver, and platinum. Instead of hiding the cracks, they're celebrated. The piece becomes more beautiful because of its history, not in spite of it. Apply this to your life. Embarrass your cracks and your challenge and turn them into gold. Your scars will tell you the story of resilience and strength. Now, let me leave you with a quote. If you see the world through dark glasses, so naturally the world seems dark. But if that's the case, instead of complaining the world's darkness, if you just take off the glasses, and maybe the world will terribly bright, and you maybe want the glasses back. But can you even take them out in the first place? And that's all. Thank you.